Welcome to the Fear and Greed Afternoon Report for Friday, the 13th of May, 2022. I'm Michael Thompson. Every afternoon, we'll bring you the 5 news items that happened today that you need to know about, so let's jump into it. Story number 1 is the local market. The S&P ASX 200 staged a pretty impressive comeback today, climbing 1.9% to 7,075 points. That's the third biggest daily gain for the local bourse so far this year. All 11 sectors increased, and the tech sector, which has really been hammered this week, jumped almost 7%. Block, the owner of Afterpay, climbed 15% today. Life360 was up more than 13%, and online accounting group Xero closed 9% higher. The banks were all up. BHP, Rio and Fortescue all climbed, and a rally in oil prices helped boost energy stocks. So really a pretty good day overall, but it does come at the end of a rough week with the market down 1.8% across the 5 days. The Aussie dollar fell as low as 68.29 US cents this morning. That's its lowest since mid-2020. This is on worries about the slowdown in China and the likelihood of sharply higher rates in the US. Commodity currencies like the Aussie dollar and the Canadian dollar are really suffering at the moment, but as the day progressed, the currency improved and finishes the week around 69 US cents. Story number 2, with just a week to go before the federal election, the big promises are starting to come out. Labor today unveiled a $1 billion spend to invest in innovative Australian technologies operating in areas that are considered critical to the economy and the rest of the country. These include things like artificial intelligence, quantum computing, robotics, software development, that kind of thing. Federal Treasurer Josh Frydenberg pledged to save the vast majority of an expected $30 billion revenue windfall from higher commodity prices to pay down debt. Prime Minister Scott Morrison conceded that he needed to alter his bulldozer approach on some issues. Of course, the opposition jumped on that one, as you can imagine, with Anthony Albanese saying he was a builder, not a bulldozer. On Sunday, the coalition is going to officially launch its election campaign, even though it's already been going on for 5 weeks. Story number 3, stand by for new payment regulations after the Reserve Bank Deputy Governor Michelle Bullock flagged that the rise of fintechs in Australia means the regulatory framework is no longer really fit for purpose. Buy now, pay later companies, services using smartphones, payment companies that operate across borders are all increasing the need for change, Ms. Bullock told a panel today. She said that while mobile wallet providers and payment facilitators don't actually hold deposits, they do, and I quote, play a critical role in ensuring payments are safe, secure, and efficient. As a result, the government is developing new regulations based on the functions that a payment processor provides rather than the type of institution that they are. Interestingly, Ms. Bullock also said that the Reserve Bank is continuing to consider the future of cash. The use of physical currency declined significantly during COVID, but she says it is still used very, very heavily by a large minority of people, so any transition away from cash needs to be carefully considered. Story number 4 today, COVID continues to rage in Australia and around the world. Locally, case numbers remain stubbornly high. 13,000 in Victoria, 12,000 in New South Wales, 6,500 in Queensland, but WA recorded the most new cases with 15,500 announced today. Tasmania and the ACT recorded 1,100 and 1,200 cases respectively. Across the country, another 48 people have died from the virus. This morning, the US announced its 1 millionth death from COVID-19, something President Joe Biden said was a grief shared by people across all our nations. According to the World Health Organization, total COVID deaths globally has now surpassed 6.2 million. And in China, President Xi Jinping has banned citizens from leaving the country for non-essential travel. All eyes are really on China at the moment to see whether they stick to the COVID zero policy, which is really doing significant damage to the economy as the virus sweeps through. And finally, story number 5 today, Wall Street almost hit bear market territory this morning, but then rebounded somewhat to finish only slightly lower. The S&P 500 was just short of the 20% drop from its previous high, which would have allowed investors to call it a bear market. Traders fear that the US Fed's determination to lift interest rates to cap inflation will put the world's largest economy into recession. Of the 14 times in the last 95 years that the S&P 500 has fallen 20% from previous highs, only twice has the economy not gone backwards within a year. So far this week, the S&P 500 has lost 4.7%, and barring an incredible reversal tonight, it will be 6 successive weeks of falls for the index. There was some good news on Wall Street, though, for crypto traders. Bitcoin rose a bit, and digital currency stocks were generally much calmer. That's it for the afternoon report for Friday, the 13th of May, 2022. Sean Aylmer, Adam Lang, and I will be back tomorrow morning for the weekend edition of Fear and Greed. I'm Michael Thompson. Enjoy your evening.